Firstly, this talk is all about. I'm the same as all of you guys. Yeah, I haven't gone anywhere to do any official training or anything like that. I've just come here a lot, and what I want to share with you is literally all the little practices, the mindfulness, everything that I've picked up here that I've then implemented in every aspect of my life to completely change it in every possible way. So, like mindfulness, obviously, awareness. It brought me the attention that I never actually paid to my life. In discovering mindfulness and actually putting it into practice, I started to learn so much about the things I'd done wrong in my life. Everything that had gone wrong that I thought was me. So at the beginning, my life was obviously always consumed with anger, violence, depression, addiction, anxiety. And I was always led myself to believe that I was just an angry, violent drug addict. And until I come here, that is what I thought of myself. So if any of yous think badly of yourself, talk badly to yourself, or are stuck in any of the situations that I am referring to, I'm going to refer to everything that is my own story, and nothing I'm going to say is about any of you lot, because I've obviously had conversations with some of you this weekend. If anything I bring up, it's not about what we've spoke about, it's all about my own story. So when I came here, I definitely cheated mindfulness in learning it, practicing it, because I was consumed with so much chronic pain. When you're in chronic pain everywhere, it's easy to become mindful because everything hurts. Everything I had to do hurt. So it brought me back to the present moment immediately. So through coming here, with other people that I knew that were coming on these retreats and then going out and struggling, I never felt like I struggled to implement mindfulness because it all really hurt. Everything hurt. Everything I did brought me back to the present moment. So it wasn't until I actually got healed of all my physical pain that I had to, and I started to go back to work, and I had, if you like, a normal life where I didn't have endless time. That was really when I had to start implementing everything I learnt here, because with having the stresses of everyday life, whether it be kids, work, your social lives, everything, all the general chaos that everyone that goes to work has to face. That was the first time I was going to have to face it. And within the first few days of going back to work, that's when I was really made aware that I'd slipped straight back into old habits because I was consumed with, I have to be here, I have to do this, and had to keep everyone else happy, I had to do this. So then that's when I really started to pull myself back into the present moment and start being mindful of everything. Because how it started initially was, I very much realised I led my whole life. I would wake up like half an hour before having to go to work, literally get out of bed, run down the stairs, jump in the van, fly off to work, and my whole day would be hectic. And that's what it was like for the first couple of days when I went back to work. So when I become mindful of my actions, if you like, and I was like, I need more time in the morning. So this is where everything I'm going to talk about now kind of started, because as everyone, I never had no time to do nothing. So I had to get up earlier, which immediately meant I had to be mindful the night before. I had to go to bed early to get up earlier. Now I played around, and everything I'm saying, this is for you to take your own little bits from and play around with and see what works for you guys. I initially thought, well, I'll get up an hour earlier. Turned out an hour weren't enough. Through a lot of trial and error, got to the point of me getting up 2 hours before I had to leave the house. is what I needed. I had to give myself that time because like everyone, never had no time to do nothing. And I needed to get myself in a good place before I left the house and I joined the rest of the world, you know. So I would get up earlier. Now, before I would even get out of bed, this is where it started for me, before I've even got out of bed. The moment my alarm went off, before I even would get out of bed, because it was always normally either falling out of bed, jumping out of bed, or I don't want to get up, can't be fucking arsed, shit, another day. I would, and I do this every single morning, the moment my eyes open, I don't move, I just start twiddling my fingers, moving my head around. I have a little laugh with myself now, I'm like, nah, fuck it. But I'm just getting into my body immediately. Because the second I get out of my bed, the head's fucking kicking in. So I would make sure I do like a complete body scan, if you like, but it's to move everything. And I'm in bed and I'm just having a little wiggle around. And as I loosen up, I start to have a little bit of a giggle and I make myself a little bit happier before I've even got out of bed. So then once I've sort of stretched and I'm excited to get out of bed because I've laid there, and if there was any shitty thoughts coming in, I'd process that, have me little movement, and then I'd get up. And this is another massive change that I had to, it was quite hard to deal with, or quite hard to accept really. There's a lot of acceptance that comes in with mindfulness, accepting things that you've done differently in the past, you know. I lived, all through my addiction years, like a pig, basically. I never tidied up nothing, you know, I lived in mess. My mum was, I lived at my mum's till I was like 40, she was still tidying my room at fucking 40 before she kicked me out. Because I just, and I never really realised, I just thought I was a pig. But through being seriously depressed, I just never tidied anything up, never made my bed, you know, just never. I literally, you know, I'd fall out of bed and I'd just be like, whatever. And leaving your bedroom in that state, the rest of the days, I'd already fucked my day up, you know. Leaving my bedroom, that I just woke up in a mess, just left my mind in a mess. You know, when I started waking up, like having me little moving around, getting up, making me bed, tidying me bedroom, taking me stuff, me cup or me plates downstairs, which I never used to do. Man, them things used to just grow alive underneath the bed. But when I'd leave my room, and it was only the first time I did it when I come home that night, when I walked into my bed and the bed was made, it was tidy, and I was like, oh. And it was at that moment I was like, that's fucking nice. And I was like, there's no one, obviously there was multiple things that made my life a mess, chaos. But living in a mess was definitely one of them. And it was quite hard to get my head around the fact that it's just a reflection. My bedroom was a reflection of what was going on up here, you know. So once I could get out of my bedroom and it was left tidy and stuff like that, I'd then have whatever it be, hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes to get myself in a good place before I would leave for work. Now, I'm not going to go through a morning routine because I have had so many different things that I've implemented in the mornings over the last 3 years. The list is massive. But what I want to make a point of is you just got to get yourself into a good, calm headspace. You know, if you get up late, especially if you've got kids and stuff like that, and it's all hectic in the morning, you're all rushing around like, let's get out the fucking door. And you wonder why your whole day's chaos, mess, there's no calmness, it's all over the place, isn't it? Whereas if you can get yourself in a good place before you even leave the house, like now all I really need to do is I can just sit for half an hour, 45 minutes in complete silence. And that's enough for me now. I used to have to always do things like qigong, reading. I'd do anything that was a nice, peaceful, calming, quiet thing because it was also early in the morning. I couldn't make noise doing stuff. So everything I did would be calm, getting me in a good place. And if, say, I had to leave for work at 7 o'clock, come 7:15, I'm then going to sit there and be like, right. And I'd get myself prepared that I'm about to walk out the door and it's going to be hectic. I'm going to go meet a load of negative people the second I step out that door. Second I get in the car, everyone's negative in the morning, everyone's rush. I am not joining that. I am going to walk out this door, and I don't care what chaos is out there, don't care what arseholes are on the road, don't care what grumpy people are in the shops, they're not going to bother me. I am leaving this house peaceful and in my own sense of peace. And it's a game changer, honestly. When you get yourself in a good place before you leave the house into the big wide world of negativity, is how I look at most of it. It don't trigger you so much. When you leave the house rushed, hectic, obviously for years it was always hungover, fucking tired and all that. The first person that's chaos, hectic, you trigger, you bite back, you're in the mood. The drive to work then is just, my drives to work were just always angry. I would do everything I could to get one car in front in a traffic jam, and think I really achieved something. Be like, yeah. But my commute to work used to be just chaos, and I'd be screaming at people, and then I'd turn up at work and I'd be ranting at everyone at work about all the arseholes I'd just met on the way to work. And I could never see that, I could never see. It's only when I actually started becoming mindful of of my entire life really, and let's be mindful before I leave the house. Let's make the journey good. Let's make the journey peaceful. If people are all hectic and whatever, I'll just let them be it. And also in that, I always make sure I leave to get to work early to allow for possible traffic jams, congestion in the morning and stuff. I always allow enough time so I get there early. Now, obviously, if there's no traffic, I might get somewhere really early. But I've also got to work not rushed. A big thing for I suffered with was everything was always chaos, everything was always rushed. Because I was just never in a good place. I never even knew that it was possible to become peaceful and calm until I started coming here and actively implementing mindfulness into me everyday life, So when I could turn up at work and I'm already in a good place, it used to be brilliant because I used to drive everyone else mad. Because everyone else would be turning up to work, and I'm like, all right, morning. And everyone's like, fucking turn it down, James, will you? I'm like, but I've been up hours. I'm like, they're all like bedhead everywhere, hungover, all that. And I'm like, it's great, come on. And it's because I'd had a couple of hours. It weren't the first thing I was doing in the morning. I'd spent time on getting me good. So then when they all come in grumpy as shit and all stuff like that, I'm like, whatever, it's all good. So it's so important to sort your morning out, in my opinion, for your day to stand any chance of being all right. If your morning's complete chaos, I found my entire day was complete chaos, Now, another thing, once I was actually at work, I'd commit to being at work. Not worrying about what I was doing after work, in the morning, not worrying about everything else. Because that's what for all through my destructive years, yes, I was at work, but I was never really there because I was normally worrying about paying drug dealers, what debt I've got. I was always worrying about other stuff, moaning about everyone, and I was never really present. Well, I was never present in any of my life, work, any of it. But once I actually started becoming mindful, and I'm like, no, this is my job. This is the job I'm going to do right now, and I'm going to do it. It's so different. Some jobs that I do now, that the same that I used to do when I was in the chaos, that I could not stand, hated, would have kicked off, moaned, or outright refused to do. I'm doing now, like Adrian says about the washing up meditation with the plates, When I'm mindful about everything and I just do that one thing and I just do that, and when that's done, I move on to the next one. Jobs that I used to think were a fucking nightmare are not. And even though initially I thought I'm going to be doing everything so much slower by being mindful, I get so much more done. Which is, I still struggle to get my head around that. Because when I was going full smash chaos, and now I'm just chilled and mindful and do things, I get so much more done. And it's all down to my headspace, really. Because even though I thought I was getting a lot done when I was in absolute fucking chaos, I wasn't. I weren't getting nothing done, you know? So when you can, if you can, like for me, I suppose I detach. When I get to work, it's work. I'm going to be mindful about that whole work. I'm not worrying about what I'm going to do after work or anything like that. I'm just going to be at work. And sometimes if you're really maybe stuck in something, you really got to be in something and you don't want any distraction. You know, it's okay to say to people that you'll work with, like, I'm undistractable at the moment. I just need to focus on this. Yeah, I'll help you in a minute. When you introduce mindfulness into your job, you will notice your job change. You will enjoy it more. It will not be nowhere near as stressful.
Love.